Have you ever had one of those days where time just feels weird, almost elastic? Like how a really simple task can somehow stretch and warp to fill an entire afternoon? Well, today, we're going to get into exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how you can start to take back control.
All right, so let's just jump right in with a question that I'm pretty sure has haunted every single one of us at some point. You've got this one thing on your to-do list. You know deep down it's a 2-hour job tops. But then you look up, it's 5 p.m., and that's literally the only thing you got done. How does that happen? What's going on? Well, it all comes down to this thing that happens to all of us. I like to call it the expanding task. It's that super frustrating feeling when a job seems to have a mind of its own, right? It just puffs up and grows to fill whatever time you give it. Okay, and this right here, this just lays it all out perfectly. Just look at the two columns. On the left, you've got a deadline that's a whole month away. That simple task, oh, it becomes a monster. You end up researching every little thing, you overthink every single detail, and the stress just slowly builds and builds. But then, look over at the right. Same task, but the deadline is this Friday. All of a sudden, you're a productivity genius. You make decisions fast, you zero in on what's actually important, and boom, it's done. The work itself didn't change at all. The only thing that changed was the deadline. So if you're sitting there nodding along, listen up. You are not alone. This is not some personal flaw or you just being lazy. Nope. It's actually a really predictable, well-known principle of how our brains work. And the cool thing is, once you can put a name on it, that's when you start to get your power back. So what do we call this thing? This invisible force that secretly runs our to-do lists? It's called Parkinson's law. And trust me, once you really get it, it's a total game changer. Work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Just let that sink in for a second. It sounds so simple, right? But it's actually incredibly profound. It's basically saying that the work itself isn't the fixed thing. The time you give it is what determines how much effort you'll put in. Wild. So let's really unpack that. The most important words in that whole definition are perceived complexity. The job isn't actually getting harder just because you have more time. It's just that you think it is. Your brain starts to see it as more complex, more important, so you start adding all these extra steps that you don't really need, you agonize over tiny details, you're basically inventing more work just to fill up the time you have. Okay, so this is where it gets good, because now we know what the problem is. The enemy isn't the work, it's having too much time. And once you know your enemy, you can actually build a strategy to fight back and take charge of your own productivity. This isn't about grinding harder, folks. It's about being way smarter with your time. All right, let's get into the game plan. We're going to talk about the actual practical things you can do to turn this whole thing on its head and actually make Parkinson's law work for you instead of against you. And here's the absolute key takeaway. You got to stop trying to just force your way through it with willpower. That's not the answer. This isn't about a lack of discipline. It's about a lack of strategy. What you need is a system, a clever way to outsmart your own brain and its bad habits. And here it is. It's a really simple 2-step system. First step, create your own fake deadlines, what we call artificial constraints. So if your boss says you have a week, you tell yourself you have 2 days. Seriously, that self-imposed urgency is going to force you to be laser-focused. And second, you got to try time boxing. This means you don't just say, I'm going to work on the report today. No way. Instead, you block out, say, 45 minutes in your calendar for one specific part, like write the introduction. You work like crazy for those 45 minutes, and when the timer goes off, you stop. What you're doing is creating these little mini deadlines for yourself all throughout the day. You know, at the end of the day, getting a handle on this isn't just about learning a few productivity hacks. It's bigger than that. It's about fundamentally changing how you think about your time, your work, and your deadlines. And this is really the heart of it all. Yeah, deadlines from other people are powerful, but the most powerful constraints, the ones that really make a difference, they're the ones you set for yourself. That's what separates people who are just busy from people who are truly productive. You are in the driver's seat. You get to decide how much time a task really deserves. So, I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Think about that one thing on your list. You know the one you've been avoiding for weeks. What if, just what if, you gave yourself only 1 hour to work on it tomorrow? A single, focused hour, and then you have to stop. No exceptions. What do you think you could get done? Seriously, give it a try. I think you'll be amazed at what happens.